It all started with a dime. And in 1942, two very special people were born. Judith Ann Newton was born in Columbus, Ohio, and James Alton Davis was born in Oakland, California. Separated by over 2,000 miles, how were these two ever going to get together? But when she was 11, Judy's dad took a new job and decided to move the family out west, where they settled in the San Francisco Peninsula. Now they were only separated by 30 miles, but it would be another 8 years before they would meet. After a year of junior college, they both ended up at San Jose College in the fall of 1961. It was during the first football game of the season, and at the half, Judy's Band-Aid dance group took the field and performed their famous Little Abner routine. Needless to say, Jim took notice. Later that night and after the game, they both attended a school dance. Then, from across the room, their eyes met. Jim crossed the room, he introduced himself, and they talked and laughed and danced, and Jim even learned the famous Little Abner dance routine. They had a wonderful time and said goodbye at the end of the night, and Judy thought they would see each other again real soon. But weeks went by, and Judy hadn't seen or heard from Jim at all, and she began to wonder if she ever would again. Time dragged on, and life on the college campus was in full swing. In those days, college kids found ever newer and wackier ways to amuse themselves, and it seems they were always out to make records. They especially liked to stuff themselves into small cars and telephone booths. And it was in that spirit that the students of Hoover Hall and Markham Hall decided to set up a telephone marathon. And when Judy realized what was happening and saw Jim's name on the list, she quickly made sure that it was her name which would correspond to his on the telephone marathon. And once they'd straightened this out, they waited for the great day to begin. And once the telephone marathon had started, both dorms were now ready to see just how far they could make their dime last. Judy waited until she knew Jim was on the line. She wondered if he still remembered her, and if so, why she hadn't heard from him. He did his best to explain he hadn't intentionally ignored her, and that of course he remembered her and the night they danced the Little Abner routine. Jim went on to explain the real reason he hadn't called her is because he was shy. And when their allotted time slot was over, they decided to keep talking. And then Jim asked Judy out for a date. And one date turned into two. And by Thanksgiving of that year, Jim had asked Judy to marry him. And just a little over a year and a half later, they were married. That same year, Jim left college and joined the Navy. And then things really started to speed up. In the next 4 years, Jim and Judy both were saved. Mark and Sharon both showed up. And Barbara, too. And there, they went from the San Francisco Bay Area to Denver, and then back again. And then to Hawaii, and then to San Diego and Glendale, and then all the way to Chicago and the Moody Bible Institute, and then back again to the Bay Area, where Elizabeth joined the fun. 16 years later, they were on the move again, first to Santa Maria for Jim's job with PG&E, and then to the Rockland-Roseville area, where they moved 8 times. And don't forget Discovery Bay, and now Brentwood. And throughout it all, they've still been talking. They've continued that conversation that started over 50 years ago during a college telephone marathon. And it all started with a dime.